Hi, this is Brian Kim. I'm going to share with you case number 127 in the Best Way to Do Cataract Surgery series. This is the 3 plus dense lens with a medium pupil. You're going to see double chop, cross chop, mechanical fracturing techniques, and how I'm able to achieve clearer corneas postoperative day one. By performing mechanical fracturing, you're utilizing less ultrasonic energy and less susceptibility to damage the corneal endothelium. And as a result, you don't have as likely chance of having cloudy corneas post-op day one, and you have potentially happier patients post-op day one because they can see better and faster. And so this is a corneal marker which will help me to center and size my rhexis. And then this is a paracentesis blade, make my incision on the right side and then the left side, making sure I'm parallel to the iris plane, which will allow me to achieve a nice shelf for a self-sealing incision. This is the patient's right eye. Patient has a little bit of a movement issue, so I want to be very mindful they don't move too much. This is some intracameral lidocaine and then some epinephrine and then some dispersive viscoelastic to coat the corneal endothelium and flatten the anterior capsule. And this is a triplanar corneal incision. I make a vertical groove into the cornea, place the blade deep in the groove, tunnel through the cornea, and then when I like the length of my incision, I turn the eye towards me and then I enter. And these are the Haldane-Perkar cross-section forceps. I try to puncture the center. These aren't really cutting tips, so we'll see how this goes. A little bit of pressure, and then I'm able to puncture. I'm working with Epsilon to see if we can develop one that has a puncturing tip. So you can see how widely the teeth open. I don't have to pull centrally, very well controlled, very good chamber, low profile forceps. These are just really great forceps. Burp some viscoelastic out. This is a capsular fornix hydrodissection technique. Place the cannula under the rhexis edge contra-incisionally. Get a nice wave, decompress on the left side, point the tip down on the right, and the lens spins. Irrigate the surface of the eye, adjusting the sleeve, lifting the incision with the chopper. Lifting the incision with the chopper, going in with irrigation off to minimize Descemet's trauma. Removing the surface epinuclear material. Placing the chopper under the rhexis edge contra-incisionally, the phaco tip vertically sub-incisionally. Bringing both instruments together, crushing the lens in half, that's double chop. You can see the whitening of the lens as the instruments are brought together in the same plane. Placing the chopper around the right heminucleus, pulling it centrally towards the phaco tip, crushing and bisecting the right heminucleus, that is cross chop. Using some vacuum to lift that first quadrant up, crushing the lens between the instruments, and then emulsifying the lens pieces. You can see during the chop maneuver, there's no translational movement, there's no tilting, there's no movement of the lens being pushed down against the posterior capsule. It's very well controlled, zonular friendly. All the forces are towards the center. This is a sideways chop. That first chop didn't go all the way through, and so there's that sideways chop. I'm able to get that lens piece amputated from the rest of the lens. Rotating the second heminucleus in front of me, placing the chopper around the lens, pulling it centrally towards the phaco tip, which is deep, fracturing the lens in half, spreading the instruments. There are some posterior adhesions. This is that scissoring chop maneuver, placing the chopper again sideways underneath the lens, and it amputates that posterior adhesion. Such an elegant way of chopping that lens and disassembling it from the rest of the lens. Placing the chopper around the lens again, fracturing it against the phaco tip, crushing the lens between the instruments and then emulsifying the lens pieces. Placing the chopper around the lens once again, bisecting the lens piece. Again, you can feel the density of the lens as it's fracturing the lens pieces. So again, this is that scissoring chop maneuver, amputating the posterior adhesions, holding the chopper sideways in a scissoring manner. By holding the chopper sideways, it's away from the posterior capsule, and again, you're able to visualize the entire length of the chopper, and you can use that maneuver to amputate those posterior adhesions very safely and easily. Removing the epinuclear material now, making sure the chopper is deep to protect the posterior capsule, making sure it doesn't come forward. So I take the chopper out, push BSS in, take the phaco tip out, and go in with the INA handpiece. Start sub-incisionally in cortex mode, removing the cortical material from anterior to posterior so it peels off more cleanly. Polishing under the rexus edge to remove the lens epithelial cells and any cortical material left. Polishing the posterior capsule as well. Pulsing BSS into the subincisional capsule fornix. Injecting some cohesive viscoelastic to fill the bag. And this is the Koch Singer sweep. Polishing under the rexus edge subincisionally and on the left side. And then on the right side here. The paddle is much bigger, the angle is much better, easier access to the subincisional area, and the top side of it has a kind of a sharper edge to it, which is better at polishing the anterior capsule. This is a single piece acrylic lens. It's going into the capsular bag. The leading edge at least is. Go in with irrigation off, activating irrigation, getting underneath the lens optic, tilting it and rotating it 90 degrees, removing all the viscoelastic from within the bag. Removing any potential lens material. Polishing under the rexus edge. Switching to visco mode, and then I'll hydrate my incision. So again, this is a 3+ dense lens. You're able to see double chop, cross chop mechanical fracturing in the fairly medium-sized pupil. More importantly, you saw the scissoring chop because there is a little bit of a posterior adhesion effect in this lens. It's somewhat dense. And so again, turning the chopper sideways and amputating you get around the lens piece with the chopper, and then on the proximal side, and you just basically crush the lens between the chopper and the phaco tip in a scissoring movement. By doing it this way, you're able to amputate the posterior adhesion. You can visualize exactly what you're doing. It's completely away from the posterior capsule, so it's very safe in that regard. Efficient way to amputate that fragment off the entire end mass of the lens. You're able to easily isolate the lens fragment, emulsify it, and then go after each of the lens pieces separately. So the scissoring maneuver has been quite helpful to help me deal with these posterior adhesions. And this is the reason why I feel like this is the best way to do cataract surgery. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I thank you for your attention.